Where You Are is a very unique track to me. The idea didn't start organically, it was a commission piece. In August of last year, I played a music festival in Brisbane. I was introduced to a guy involved in a music supervision company called Level 2 Music. We really got along and he pitched me the idea of doing some brief writing where an existing artist composes a number of tracks, hitting set themes and genres to hopefully land placements on ads, TV shows or movies. I was hooked. I've always liked the idea of writing music with visuals in mind, and this was the perfect opportunity to do so. The brief for this track was all about tourism and travel. It was about wanting to see places and experience new things with someone you love. I didn't find this one too difficult to write about, and Where You Are quickly took shape. The narrative in the lyric is all about feeling sluggish and lazy when you're away from that special person. All you can think about is what they're doing, what they might be seeing, and when you finally get the chance to chat over the phone, you burst out with romantic lines and heartfelt emotion. It's a feeling that I hope is broad enough for people to connect with, but also specific enough to hit the brief. Production-wise, this song was recorded and almost completely mixed in one day. I tracked most instruments in 1 or 2 takes and ended up keeping the earliest vocal performances even though they were pretty rough. I love playing the slide guitars in the chorus and the subtle synth lines from The Prophet. And even the main chugging acoustic guitar part was fun to play in a slightly altered standard tuning. The only component to this song that was tracked outside of that first day was some drum layers by Jason Daniels, a good friend of mine from the Sunshine Coast. Where You Are is the first track on my 5th EP titled Until It Does. Just over a year ago, I made a new friend on the other side of Australia. Though we hadn't ever met in person, we video called this one time and ended up writing what you now know as Have to Find Out. Riley Pearce is that friend, an incredible folk artist from Western Australia, but an even more incredible human being. Our friendship started over Instagram. I guess it was a mutual appreciation of each other's music. But when we finally spoke on FaceTime, it was surprising how similar we felt about music, family, and finding balance in life. The idea for the song came from me sharing about my decision to quit school teaching full-time and pursue music as my career. It was such a leap of faith moment, putting all my focus into my art and hoping it would all pay off. Being a few years further down the track, Riley knew exactly what that felt like, and our lyric ideas quickly flowed after that. I love the lines in the chorus about napkin plans and learning to dance by tripping over. To me, this is what a career in music truly feels like. But another theme that seemed to come up for the both of us was how water can be such a grounding experience when the stress of it all becomes too much. Even though we live on opposite sides of a massive country, Riley and I both felt that the ocean had played a significant role in our mental well-being over the years. Producing this track felt high pressure for me because I really wanted Riley to be stoked with the sound of it. In the end, the biggest aspects of recording were in tracking live drums and lap steel guitar with James Xavier and adding in organ and Rhodes parts to push the track more in a blues and Americana direction ever so slightly. This wasn't a very conscious choice at the beginning, but as I've felt through this whole process, none of these songs really make sense together, so why should this one be any different? Have to Find Out is the second track on my 5th EP titled Until It Does. I'm gonna be honest, I still have no idea what I'm doing. I've self-produced and released 6 songs this year, and not one of them sounds the same. This one's no exception to that, I guess. Hold Me Close started at my girlfriend's house in May on a dodgy old nylon string guitar. I was playing around with different tunings and found myself playing this riff over and over. It was moody and slow, so I knew the lyrics would have to mirror the feeling. The story behind the song isn't my own, however. It's actually the first time I've written from someone else's perspective, that being my girlfriend's. A few years ago, she went on a 4-day hike in New Zealand. The scenery was stunning, the phone service non-existent, and yet it was here that she hit her breaking point. 2 days in, the beautiful weather took a turn for the worse. Heavy rain and wind followed. The trail seemed to drag on forever, and mental exhaustion kicked in. She hit a wall. And though I didn't live that moment with her, I've known what it's like to feel at your physical and mental end. It's like all sense or reason disappear, and you're left to your own devices, not even sure if you can pull it together and get the job done. I think the realization I had hearing this story is that at our lowest points, it's often human connection and proximity that comforts us and grounds us. Whether it's hiking in the rain, surfing in the middle of winter, struggling with financial pressures, or battling mental health, we lose our grasp on situations when we isolate ourselves. It's always best to reach out when we're in the valley. When it came to producing this track, the tempo changes were the biggest challenge to map out. Every time I recorded a guitar and then decided the tempo was too slow, I had to completely retrack the whole song. Let's just say many hours were spent on the most minute details of this song. The main guitar tone comes from my brother-in-law's late 1950s Hofner electric, and my banjo features once again in small parts. One of the pads in this song is actually Trust Myself, sped up, compressed, and EQ'd. But for the most part, this song is pretty straightforward. I've sat on it for a long time too, but now it's yours. Hold Me Close is the first single from my 5th EP titled Until It Does. Fly Home to You was literally written in my van travelling from Brisbane to Sydney for one of my headline band shows in 2024. Tyler, my electric guitarist, was at the wheel, and about 8 hours into the road trip we were both pretty bored. I grabbed my crappy half-size guitar from the back and said, "Alright Tyler, we're writing a song, what should we write about?" He thought for a minute and then said something like how bittersweet it is to travel, doing the thing you love, but being away from the ones you love the most while doing it. That was enough to go off, and the ideas started flowing from there. The song wrote itself in about an hour. In 2024, both Tyler and I had done a lot of travelling locally and internationally. Whether it was for gigs, music festivals, photo shoots, or holidays, we'd each spent many days and weeks away from our partners and communities. And as exciting as these trips were, it always felt like something was missing. Travelling has this way of reminding you of what's important, and this song really honed in on that. The guitar part for the track was simple and upbeat. Simple because I wanted it to tap into the foot-stomping folk sound, and upbeat because Tyler said he couldn't hear the guitar if I played it quietly. Lyrically, the verse ideas came together pretty quick, but it was when I came up with the pre-chorus melody that we both knew we had a song. Writing these lyrics felt like an exercise in not second-guessing myself, and almost every lyric we wrote that afternoon stayed in the final version. A funny side story is that the day after I wrote the song, we played it as a band in Sydney because the energy and story just felt so strong. We bluffed our way through the performance, but there were some people after the show that pegged it as their favourite song, even with all our mistakes. The hardest part of this process was producing the song, as we played it live so many times before I came to recording it properly. I wanted to capture the energy in the room from those live versions while still making it feel distinctly TNL. In the end, it was keeping to the core ingredients and doing them well that made the track feel right. Once again, Jason Daniels played drums on this, and very little was added beyond normal guitar, keys, bass, and pad combinations. This song feels like a nice bookend to my more upbeat folk era of music. I think from here I'll pivot my sound to be a bit more moody and dynamic. Stay tuned, I guess. Fly Home to You is the 4th track on my 5th EP titled Until It Does.